Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. World Bank raises India's GDP forecast for the fiscal from 6.6% to 7%, says robust investment activity is driving growth. However, calls on India to firm up a strategic plan to diversify exports, argues that India is not capitalizing on the China Plus One opportunity. Potential relief for Infosys on the 30,000 crore rupee GST notice. Sources say the council is likely to clarify on the tax demand. FMCG companies could also get some relief on the tax imposed on snacks. That's an exclusive. Auto component maker Sadhana Motherson is likely to raise $1 billion. Sources say the company is set to launch a qualified institutional placement soon. That's an exclusive. SoftBank-backed B2B platform Off Business plans to hit Dalal Street in the next 12 to 15 months, aims to raise up to $1 billion. The company tells CNBC TV 18 it is in the process of merging subsidiaries into a holding company and will apply for an IPO after the merger. Godfrey Phillips finalizes sale of its retail business to a startup called New Shop. Sources say term sheet has been signed to transfer 24/7 stores and transaction will be completed this month. That's an exclusive. Congress party raises more questions on the retrial benefits from ICICI Bank to its former employee and current SEBI chief Madhabi Puri Butch. Claims payouts post-retirement exceed her salary as bank's an employee, and there is no uniformity on the amount paid and the frequency of the payments. In a bid to curb pesky text messages and phone calls, telecom companies block 2.75 lakh mobile numbers and blacklist 50 entities. Telecom regulator claims the action was taken in just the last 2 weeks. A female startup founder says Bajaj Finserv refused to provide an overdraft limit due to the lack of any male directors in the company. Bajaj Finserv refutes the allegation, says they have no gender-based criteria in the underwriting process. The Indian Air Force drops food packets and water to residents of Vijayawada as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana reel under heavy rains and flooding. At least 35 people killed so far. Chief ministers from both states asked the Prime Minister to declare the flooding a national disaster. The West Bengal Assembly unanimously passes an anti-rape bill. The bill seeks capital punishment for persons convicted of rape if their actions result in the victim's death or leave her in a vegetative state. Additionally, the bill proposes a life sentence without parole for those convicted of rape. Let's start with the market action. Sensex and Nifty ended flat after a volatile session. Mid-caps marginally outperformed the blue chips, with the index gaining nearly 150 points. Financial stocks did most of the heavy lifting. The Nifty Bank Index gained nearly 250 points today, but metal stocks dragged the market. A quick check on crude oil prices, where we are seeing a sharp decline. Concerns over demand in China, which is the world's largest crude oil importer, is worrying investors. China's manufacturing PMI was well below expectations, sparking concerns over demand. This overshadowed the impact of the halt in production and exports from Libya. Brent crude has dropped below $75 mark in early trade. The top story this evening: the World Bank has raised India's GDP forecast for the fiscal from 6.6% to 7%. The bank believes infrastructure investments and an uptick in real estate sales are likely to be the key growth drivers. However, World Bank highlighted that urban youth unemployment remains elevated at 17%, and India is losing its global market share in labor-intensive sectors like textile, footwear, apparel. For India to achieve its ambition of hitting $1 trillion in exports, the World Bank has proposed a three-pronged strategy, beginning with the reduction in trade costs, lowering trade barriers, and deepening integration. The bank also argues that India has not fully capitalized on China's withdrawal from labor-intensive sectors. It also said that India's share in global trade is not matching its size as an economy, despite strong growth. So what can the government really do? World Bank is calling for the creation of more trade-related jobs by integrating India more deeply with global value chains.
India has done very well at increasing its share of high-tech export, which is great, which is very good. But there is an opportunity to increase India's share in export categories where when you export, you also create jobs. And those may not necessarily be low-tech, but they're not necessarily high-tech either. They are labor-intensive exports. So there is an opportunity to look at those areas, and it may include textile, apparel, and footwear. It may include, new areas such as green technology. Trading costs have come down, but there is a need to reduce them further. Second, reduce trade barriers, both tariff and non-tariff barriers. And this applies to many countries, not just India. But barriers have increased.
Bajaj Housing Finance has set a price band of 66 to 70 rupees per share for its initial public offering that will begin on the 9th of September. The 6,560 crore rupee initial public offer will comprise a fresh issue of equity shares of up to 3,560 crore rupees and an offer for sale to the tune of 3,000 crore rupees by parent company Bajaj Finance. SoftBank-backed Off Business is planning to list on the Indian stock exchanges in the next 12 to 15 months. The company aims to raise $750 million to $1 billion via public offer. The company told CNBC TV18 that it is in the process of merging its subsidiaries into a holding company and will go for an IPO after the merger is completed. Shruti Mishra is now joining us with more details. Shruti, take us through the company's plan.
That's right. SoftBank-backed B2B platform for raw material and credit platform Off Business is set to head to Dalal Street. The company plans to raise between $750 million and $1 billion through a public offering in the next 12 to 15 months. Now, Off Business told CNBC TV18, and I quote, "We are in the process of merging our subsidiaries into a holding company. We will proceed with an IPO after the merger is completed. The subsidiaries to be merged operate in the processing, value addition and manufacturing segments." End of quote. The company also said that the offering will include $150 to $200 million in new shares, with the remainder being offloaded by existing shareholders. Off Business also added that it is in active discussions with Bank of America, Citi, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley to manage the offering. Founded in 2015 by the husband-wife duo Ashish Mohapatra and Ruchi Kalra, Off Business has raised over $800 million from investors till date. Its last funding round in 2021 valued the company at approximately $5 billion. With that, it's back to you.
Here's a CNBC TV18 exclusive. The government is likely to initiate an offer for sale for its stake in General Insurance Corporation of India. Sources have said that the government is looking to dilute less than 7% stake in the company. The floor price has been set at 395 rupees per share, and this is a 6% discount to the current market price. The size of the OFS is pegged at 4,701 crore rupees. The government currently holds more than 87% stake in the company. The Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency is planning to raise funds, and sources have told CNBC TV18 that this proposal is under consideration. The company has sought the government's approval to dilute up to 10% stake. Reports have suggested that the company is planning to raise 25,000 crore rupees from the debt market and 4,500 crore rupees via equity in FY25. On to another CNBC TV18 exclusive. Sadhana Motherson is likely to raise up to $1 billion via the QIP route. Sources have said that the QIP will be launched soon and its proceeds may be used for debt reduction and acquisitions. Sudarshan Kumar joins us now with this story on one of India's largest component manufacturers. Sudarshan, what are your sources telling you?
We understand from our sources that the auto ancillary maker Sadhana Motherson is looking to launch its QIP very soon, and via QIP, company is looking to raise up to $1 billion, or say more than rupees 8,000 crore. And QIP proceeds may be used for an acquisition or debt reduction. Also, for the same, bankers are already appointed, and roadshow may begin very soon. In the last interview that company had with CNBC TV18 after Q1 FY25 earnings, it had said it has been looking at acquisitions. Also on the debt front, it had guided to reduce debt to 1 times EBITDA from 1.5 times that currently company has. Gross debt as of June 2024 was rupees 20,114 crore, which had increased 16% from March level, and net debt was rupees 13,370 crore, which was up 29% from March level. And in its reply to CNBC TV18's query, company has said currently it does not have any ongoing deal roadshow.
Shares of Medi Assist Healthcare Services surged after stock worth 580.5 crore rupees changed hands in a block deal. The company's promoter has offloaded 13.5% of its stake in the company. The transaction took place at 612 rupees per share. Focusing now on the GST Council meeting, which is scheduled to meet next week, and this will take up a host of issues. Sources have told us that a potential relief is in store for Infosys and tech giants like Amazon, Google and Meta. Timsi Jaipuria gets us a sneak peek on what to expect.
Well, the 54th GST Council is likely to meet on 9th of September in New Delhi, keeping a table full of agenda items. According to sources, the Council is likely to deliberate on extending a relief to Infosys. The IT major, remember, was issued a pre-show cause notice worth 32,000 crore rupees, out of which 2,000 crore rupees worth of liability was waived off by DGGI for FY18 based on clarifications shared by the company. But for the remaining liability, the company has sought time from the tax authorities, and in the meantime, it is understood from sources that they could get some relief from the council. Apart from this, council is likely to get in relief for data hosting players such as Amazon, Google, Meta, etc. It is likely that the council could consider clarifying on treatment of place of supply, what should be treated as export of services, GST rate treatment when recipient is abroad, and much more. Sources also share that the council is likely to reject the proposal pushed by the EV industry to consider a GST exemption on EV charging at public charging stations. Council is likely to propose that 18% GST on charging should continue. The industry had also pitched for a reduction on GST on manufacturing of Li-ion cells for Li-ion batteries for EV, battery packs, electric motor EV drive assembly, etc. from 18% to 5%. Here we learn from sources that the council-nominated fitment committee is understood to have recommended against the demand, saying that any reduction here could lead to inversion of duties. Not just this, the council could also get in relief for the education institutes and universities such as IIT Delhi on grants and donations received for research. Council could exempt them from GST. Remember, recently DGGI had issued 7 show cause notices to universities and institutes, including IIT Delhi, seeking 220 crore rupees worth of dues. And last but not the least, the council is likely to hold a review of the 28% GST levied on online gaming, casinos and racecourses. The council will take up a status update here, and what we pick up from sources is that there could be a setback for this particular sector too, as the sector had sought clarity on the past demands from 2017 till 2023 from the council, and the fitment committee is likely to have deferred the matter, seeking more information and data. Remember here, the past liability is of over 1 lakh crore rupees. Let's see what all happens when the council meets.
All right. Timsi Jaipuria has been breaking a number of stories when it comes to the GST Council agenda, and let's see what happens there next week now. Moving on to an important corporate story, Godfrey Phillips has finalized the sale of its retail business to a startup called New Shop. Sources have said that the term sheet has been signed to transfer 24/7 stores, and the transaction will be completed this month. Ashmit Kumar is now joining us with the details. Ashmit, what have you picked up about the deal contours?
Well, an important development this coming in from Godfrey Phillips, especially ahead of the September 6th AGM. What we've learned, what sources tell us, is that the company has finalized its plan for sale of its retail business 24/7. The format, the 24/7 format stores will now be sold by Godfrey Phillips. Those plans have been finalized. Importantly, it's being sold to a startup, the Delhi-based startup, the New Store. The New Store essentially already is in the convenience store business, has about 160 stores across 35 cities. That will be the company taking this forward. Now, what's important is that the term sheet importantly has been signed. The talks have been underway for a very long period. The term sheet importantly has been signed, which signifies, of course, forward movement in terms of when this transaction is to be closed, in terms of timelines. Both the parties are keen on moving aggressively and closing this transaction as soon as possible. The timeline that we hear, that they tell us, is the end of September is when they're looking to close this transaction. And in the spirit of wanting to close this transaction, what we also pick up up from sources is that there are efforts already underway by both sides for beginning to transfer the stores and the assets of 24/7 to new stores. So a hugely important development this, especially in light of the promoter dispute which is underway as far as the boardroom is concerned. The reason being that the executive director, Samir Modi, has been steadfast in his opposition to the sale of 24/7, the retail business. Beena Modi, of course, and the other board members, the broader board members, are in agreement with the sale of the retail business. So there is some amount of underplay there, some amount of undercurrent there. We'll, of course, see all of it play out at the AGM on September 6th.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashwin Kumar, for joining us with that important story on Godfrey Phillips. In a bid to tackle spam calls, India's telecom regulator has blacklisted over 50 entities and disconnected 2.75 lakh mobile numbers. The TRAI has also directed access providers to stop promotional calls from unregistered telemarketers. This action comes after nearly 8 lakh complaints were registered against unregistered telemarketers in the first half of 2024. In political news, the Congress party has raised questions about ICICI Bank's statement concerning payments made to the current SEBI chief, Madhavi Puri Butch. Speaking at a press conference, party leader Pawan Khera questioned why has retiral benefits provided to the SEBI chair have been non-uniform, both in terms of its frequency and amount. Listen in.
इस अमाउंट को टैक्सेबल इनकम में क्यों नहीं दिखाया माधवी जी की? ये इनकम टैक्स का नॉन कंप्लायंस है इनकम टैक्स एक्ट का. हम एक और आरोप लगाते हैं, नया आरोप है. हम इंतजार करेंगे. आईसीआईसीआई जवाब देना चाहता है, दे. एसईसी को भी दे कि साहब हमने जो आपकी वेबसाइट पे पॉलिसी डाली है अमेरिका की, वो अलग है. हिंदुस्तान में हमने वेबसाइट पे नहीं डाली, लेकिन यहां अलग पॉलिसी है. और यहां भी माधवी जी के लिए एक अलग पॉलिसी है, बाकी कर्मचारियों के लिए अलग पॉलिसी है ईसॉप्स की. बताएं. वी डिमांड टू नो. नहीं तो माधवी जी जवाब दें. हमने कल भी उनको आग्रह किया था कि आप खुद जवाब दीजिए, नहीं तो हम हर दूसरे दिन आएंगे, कुछ नई बातें करेंगे, कुछ नए खुलासे करेंगे, क्योंकि अभी तो ये शुरुआत है.
Netflix India has updated the opening disclaimer for its recently released IC-814, the Kandahar hijack, to include both the real and code names of the hijackers. This comes after Netflix's India content head Monica Shergill met the Information and Broadcasting Secretary over the controversy surrounding the series. Several people had alleged that the show distorted facts and whitewashed terrorism as well. Premier Energies made a stellar debut on Dalal Street after listing at a premium of 120% over its IPO price. The listing gains are above the grey market estimates, where shares were trading at a premium of 108%. However, the stock's price cooled off during trade to close with gains of 87%. Moving on to the semiconductor sector, the cabinet has approved the proposal of semiconductor company KES Semicon to set up a plant in Sanand, Gujarat. This will be India's fifth semiconductor unit with an investment outlay of 3,300 crore rupees. The proposed unit will produce nearly 60 lakh chips per day. Speaking to CNBC TV18, Jairam Sampath, whole-time director and CFO at KES Technology, has said that the company expects 200 crore revenue from the chip unit in the fourth quarter of FY26.
The commercial production starts off in third quarter. Fourth quarter, we'll have significant revenues, maybe 200 crores plus kind of revenues. We don't operate at 100% technically, right? So generally about 80% plus. So 80% plus can deliver up to about 4,000 crores. It entirely depends on what kind of work we do. So, but typically the asset turns in this business of about 1 to 1.5. So we're hoping to kind of set up our businesses and our portfolio of customers in such a way that we get a slightly better run rate on the asset turns.
Female startup founder Apeksha Jain took to social media to highlight the prevailing gender bias in India's lending ecosystem. Apeksha claimed that she was denied an overdraft facility because her company, led by female directors, lacked a male co-applicant. Lender Bajaj Finserv in a statement said, and I quote, "We have no gender-based criteria in our underwriting process. We are more than happy to engage with the complainant. We refute the allegations." We spoke to Apeksha earlier to get a sense of the ordeal she went through.
Got a call for verification, and they were supposed to come over to my office to sign some papers the day after. And on the verification call, they asked me, who the other director was. And when I told them that it's a female director, they specifically asked me for a male co-applicant and asked me if I could have my husband or my brother or my father as a co-applicant. And when I told them that it's not possible, then they informed me that, they cannot proceed with the file because of not having a male co-applicant. It's not just Bajaj. I think it's an industry problem because similar incidents have been reported by other women with ICICI, GFC, and other banking institutions as well.
On that note, we are going to be taking a break, but coming up on India Business Hour, the National Capital Region is set to get a new airport in a few months. More on that in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, and JioCinema. You're watching India Business Hour. Heavy rains continue to batter Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. At least 35 people have been killed so far across both states. The Met Department has issued a yellow alert in 10 districts of Telangana. State Chief Minister Revanth Reddy visited flood-affected areas. He has also announced 5 crore rupees each to flood-affected districts. Meanwhile, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu also visited affected areas. The Indian Air Force carried out relief operations in flood-affected areas of Vijayawada. The locals in the state are also facing a severe shortage of drinking water. The flood victims were seen in long queues for food and drinking water at Vijayawada. Chief ministers from both the states have asked the Prime Minister to declare the flooding a national disaster. West Bengal Assembly has unanimously passed an anti-rape bill. The bill has sought capital punishment for persons convicted of rape if their actions result in the victim's death or leave her in a vegetative state. Additionally, the bill has proposed a life sentence without parole for those convicted of rape. In the aviation sector, Delhi NCR's second international airport, the Noida International Airport, is now expected to commence commercial operations from April 2025. Our colleague Danish Anand visited the airport to see how the construction is progressing. Let's take a look at his report.
In a good news for residents of Delhi NCR, the construction of region's second international airport, that is the Noida International Airport, is nearing completion, and that structure that you're seeing right over there is the passenger terminal. And as per the phase 1 plan, this terminal can cater to 12 million passengers yearly. This airport was supposed to start its commercial operations sometime in 2024, but due to several reasons, there has been quite some delay in starting the operations.
One of the particular challenges that we have faced has been the production and the erection of structural steel for the roof of the terminal building, and here we're in daily close coordination with our EPC contractor to ensure that we can maintain now the high pace of delivery in preparation for airport readiness.
Aikas and Indigo are the two Indian airlines that have signed an agreement with Noida International Airport to start commercial operations. But much before these commercial operations begin, the airport is slated to start its calibration and test flights from September this year.
The next months ahead remain crucial. I think crucial that we were able to receive these flights, to calibrate this equipment. We're working towards a deadline where we submit for the aerodrome license by the end of this year. That will be followed by a rigorous testing process of our plans, of the construction quality, of the safety processes that we have in place. We're working towards a schedule and plan to begin commercial flight operations in April 2025.
With operations expected to begin from the early part of 2025, after that Noida International Airport will start focusing on its next big target, that is its expansion plans. And by the end of this decade, Noida International Airport will have 2 runways and more terminals, and the entire passenger capacity of Noida International Airport will shoot up to 70 million passengers per year. With video journalist Lakshman Singh, this is Danish Anand for CNBC TV 18.
Let's get you some news now from the automobile space, especially two-wheelers. The Mahindra Group has unveiled a new variant of Java's popular 42 model in the India market. CNBC TV 18's Rachna Dhanrajani brings us the latest on Mahindra's latest premium bike offering.
So in 2016, when we decided at Mahindra that we really belonged not in the commuter bike segment, but in the premium motorcycle segment, I called up Anupam, who was an investor in one of our companies, but a well-known biker and a turnaround expert. And I said, what's the right way forward? And he said one word, Java.
Getting us the latest offering from the House of Classic Legends is this Java 42. And we have with us Anupam Thareja to take us through the bike, to take us through the favorite features, the specifications you want us to be looking forward to, the price points and much more.
We created the Neo segment, Neo Classic segment, others are copying it. That's what we do. That's what disruptors do. That's what challengers do. That's what crazies do. We come and we disrupt. So this is another disruption, and the first disruption is the way it looks. The white tires, the 350 engine, the stays on the light, the way the light hangs, the new absolutely brilliant and upgraded Alpha 2 engine.
What's your outlook with this one? Where would it help you to gain more market share?
Absolutely.
And by how much?
So firstly, remember this segment is 5% of the market. This segment doesn't work on market shares. If it was, then you are only 5% of the market. But this is about motorcycling. But remember, this market share has got a disproportionate profit share. Also, it's got a competitive advantage which cannot be broken easily. Right? So when you are creating value, when you are creating customer segmentation, when you're creating long-term companies, you need to have a defensible position which comes from the brand. So the brand is getting established. I have no doubt in my mind. Not only here, but globally it's getting established. All the three, Java, BSA, ESD.
The Java 42 Every is the 10th offering from the House of Java ESD here in India. But with this one, they mark their entry into the Neo Classic segment, which has been all the rage in the recent times. In fact, this one goes directly head-to-head with Royal Enfield's Hunter. But now with companies' focus purely being on expanding market share and not bringing on any more brands on board, they are especially focused to take on the competition. This particular bike is available in 6 colors with price ranging from 1,99,142 rupees all the way up to 2,20,142 rupees. This is Rachnathan Rajani in Mumbai.
Premiumization and electric vehicles, that is where the two-wheeler industry in the country is really focusing on at the moment. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.